You're listening to Karle and Kenner's Hitting the Bar. In the blue corner, we've got Mr. Karle supporting Tottenham. In the red corner, we've got Mr. Kenner supporting Arsenal. Together, they will be discussing all of your football views, all of your football news. So join us here on Karle and Kenner's Hitting the Bar.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Karle and Kenner's Hitting the Bar, the football podcast. I'm here with Geoff Saunders. Hello, Geoff. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. Good to be here in our bar.
Yes, we are in our bar in Calahonda here on the Costa del Sol. Big thanks to them. Big thanks to Stewart Hill Exclusive Wines and to TaxiPoint. Now then, we're going to start the show with Geoff's trivia quiz question, which you'll give us the answer later on. So what have we got this week?
Right, okay. Frank Lampard is now the manager of Chelsea. What does he have in common with Neil Harris, manager of Millwall, Alfredo Di Stefano, manager of Real Madrid, Alan Shearer, managing Newcastle, and Ali McCoist, managing Rangers?
All right. We shall find out a little later on in the show. Now, we are just 1 week away from the start of the Premier League season. Of course, the Championship's already started this weekend. We're nearly at the end of the transfer window. There's been some interesting movements. Just Friday this week, Harry Maguire finally signed for Manchester United. Now, a lot of people are saying great business for Leicester. Good defender for United, but a lot of money, Geoff, really.
Well, 80 million for Harry Maguire, compared to Virgil van Dijk at 75 and De Ligt, who went to Juventus for 67.5 million. Now, you know, De Ligt is a much, much better footballer than Harry Maguire. And it really does raise the question, why did they spend so much, given that 2 years ago he was transferred for 17 million?
Yeah, I mean, this is great for Leicester. They must be
Fantastic
delighted.
Business for Leicester, yeah.
Delighted, yes.
Yeah, and question must be, why didn't Manchester United buy him 2 years ago when he could have had him for 17 million?
But really, I mean, they're obviously desperate to sign a name. There's an interesting story regarding Maguire, which I wanted to bring up. Back in 2011, when he was just 18, playing for Sheffield United, Sheffield United played against Manchester United. He suffered a concussion, and apparently Ferguson, who was then Man United manager, rang him in the hospital, wished him well, which is very professional, I think, and told him to stay out of trouble, stay injury-free, keep his head down, work hard, and he would at some point become world-class. Now, I don't know if he is world-class, but he's certainly got a world-class price tag on his head.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a very good international. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, for England, at least.
For England, but he's not world-class, no.
No, I mean, nor are most of the England team, let's be honest.
But the other two, Van Dijk and De Ligt, are world-class.
Well, that's it. You cannot compare, with all due respect to Harry, you can't compare him to De Ligt, can you, at all? You know, or Van Dijk, I suppose, really.
Well, no, but don't you think that Manchester City have played a blinder again, as they did with Sanchez, where they just, basically, by being involved, it bid up the price till it got to a point where the suits at City said to Guardiola, I'm sorry, but he's just not worth that much.
Yes.
But Manchester United took him at that price anyway, 37 million transfer fee and $500,000 a week.
Yeah, it's a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's a bit like those TV programmes where people are bidding for storage units, and they don't want the unit, but they want their rivals to spend all their money. Yeah. So they keep bidding and then back out at the last minute, and their rivals have spent 3 times as much and can't buy the next unit, which is better, which is what City have done, in effect.
Yeah, and, is Harry Maguire's preferred destination was City. I mean, he made that very, very public. So have Manchester United bought yet another player that they're going to pay a fortune to that doesn't want to be there?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
Along with De Gea, Sanchez and Pogba.
But all getting, either being given the captain's armband, having their wages increased, having their ego stroked, or all three. They've been persuaded to stay. As you say, a club they don't really want to be at. But, if you're working in an office job and you offer to leave and they double your wages, you're going to sit and suffer, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but, if you look at Manchester United's performance in the transfer window, they bought Dan James for 15 million from Swansea. Okay, might turn out to be a very good player. Who knows? In that wide left position where pace is really all you've got going for him, clever defenders can cope with that. You need more than that. So that's why the price is only 15 million. Okay, Wan-Bissaka from Palace for 50 million. Great buy. I mean, Wan-Bissaka is a great fullback. There's no problem there. And Harry Maguire. But they have seriously looked at 21 other players. 21.
That's outrageous.
That's that. Who is there a process here at all? Is there any sort of plan? It's just they're just casting out all over the place, just trying to grab anything they can. I mean, look, they got Harry Maguire. They've looked at James Rodriguez. They were after Rabiot from PSG. And Rabiot went to Juventus on a free. On a free. So 2 of the Juventus midfield 3 cost them no money at all, which is blinding business for them.
That's good business, yeah.
Yeah. Delete, they were after, and the UK newspapers screaming that he was going to Man United. Well, he's at Juventus. Jadon Sancho said, no, I'm staying put. Griezmann ended up at Barcelona. Bruno Fernandes, well, are they still in for him or not? Nobody seems very sure. And anyway, how many Man United fans were screaming for Bruno Fernandes 6 months ago?
Yeah. A name that just trips off their tongues, yeah.
Rafael Varane, and Real Madrid told them where to go. Koulibaly from Naples, he said very publicly, no, I wouldn't go anywhere near Man United. Declan Rice at West Ham, no, there's no need for the club to sell. Lo Celso, Tottenham are in for him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Lo Celso, would you rather play in the Champions League with Tottenham or the Vars with Manchester United?
Well, the Thursday night Vars. I mean, really, why would you go to these days? Why would you go to Manchester United?
Well, exactly. And Tielemans, Manchester United were very big on him a few weeks ago. Yes. Well, no, he reckons. Why would he go to Manchester United? It's not a better team than Leicester. Yeah. They're all going to be in the same, in and around the same place in the 5th, 6th, 7th positions. So why wouldn't he? If a team playing in the Champions League came in for Tielemans, I'm sure he'd go.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite an incredible story, this Maguire transfer and everything. Let's move on, though. You've got a little theory about the Ronaldo transfer, haven't you, to Juventus?
Well, it's only a theory in the strict scientific sense that it's
fact.
It's a contention which is backed up by fact and observation. Okay, and it really actually concerns Paulo Dybala, who is one of, I would say, the top 2 players in Europe and certainly the most exciting player in Europe. In the previous season, 2017-18, Dybala scored 22 goals in 30 league matches for Juventus.
Incredible.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then Ronaldo arrived. So they spent over £100 million on Ronaldo. And, all right, fair enough. But they couldn't play Ronaldo and Dybala in his proper... Dybala had to move his position. So they shuffled him around, and he ended up having a bad season and in the end being moved out. So that's okay if Ronaldo has improved the team and the team has done better. Ronaldo, incidentally, scored 22 goals, same as Dybala.
Same.
Yeah,
right.
So same. So there's no improvement there. But maybe Ronaldo's made the whole team better. Well, no, actually. Without Ronaldo, in 2017-18, they played 38. They won 30 games. With Ronaldo, they won 28. So they won 2 fewer games. Goals for the previous season, 86. With Ronaldo, 70. So they scored 16 goals fewer.
That's a big difference.
The goal difference the previous year was plus 62, with Ronaldo plus 40, and 2017-18 their points was 95, with Ronaldo 90.
So down on all fronts.
It is a fact to say that it is a worse team with Ronaldo in it at a cost of over £100 million.
I mean, there might be other factors involved there, different players, different tactics and so on, but. Nevertheless, the glaring statistics there saying that with Ronaldo they are a worse team. Or certainly statistically worse.
Allegri being moved out because he didn't want the Ronaldo transfer anyway. Right. And the team is clearly worse. But he has to play Ronaldo in the position Ronaldo wants. And the second best player in Europe, Dybala, is moved out, and his agent is now taking an office in London, talking to every English club that's in the Champions League, plus Manchester United.
And
Dybala has said he doesn't want to go there.
No, I mean, one statistic you haven't revealed about Ronaldo and Juventus is shirt sales, which is probably the only thing that is up.
Yeah, but the anyone who looks into this, and there's a couple of very good articles on the Guardian's website. So the value of these shirt sales is massively overhyped, because just because a shirt costs £60 and they sell 10,000, the club don't get a profit of £60 times 10,000. They make a very, very small profit out of that.
Right.
And when Ronaldo went to Real Madrid, there was this thing that was quoted in the English newspapers. Oh, how the deal paid for itself in shirt sales, and Well, no, actually, the net income Real Madrid got in shirt sales in that first year was £18 million. £18 million.
Right.
It's massively overhyped how much the clubs get. The clubs get very little from these shirt sales. The company that produces the shirts, they make a lot of money, but the clubs don't.
But actually, the share that the club gets is a lot less.
It's much less.
Talking about shirts and Juventus, obviously, we do like a little bit of history on this on the show. Some fun facts: the shirts that Juventus wear, the black and white stripes, are courtesy of Notts County, who lent them the shirts because they ain't got any money.
Yeah.
But Steve Kenton, who is not here at the moment, is an Arsenal fan. You were telling me earlier something rather interesting about the Arsenal shirts.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing about the Arsenal is that they were originally the football team of the Royal Arsenal at Woolwich,
right,
which is, the munitions factories producing guns, etc., etc. And their first name was Dial Square, which was a place in the centre of the factory complex. But 3 of the players that started the team at the Woolwich Arsenal had come from Nottingham Forest. And when they started the team, there's 15 of them, and they didn't have any kit.
Mm-hmm.
So these three lads from Nottingham wrote back to Nottingham Forest saying, look, we haven't got the money for the kit. So Nottingham Forest sent them the red shirts that Nottingham Forest were, and that's why Arsenal wear red.
There you go. Fun fact for this episode. We'll probably have more of that kind of stuff a little bit later on. Well, talking about the Woolwich Wanderers, as a Tottenham fan I like to call them, Geoff.
Well, indeed, that's what they are, aren't they?
That's what they are, the Wanderers, yes. Sorry, Steve.
They've actually bought a player, haven't they?
They have finally bought somebody, yes. So, they've spent quite a bit of money.
72 million for Pepe and out of the French league. That's huge money for someone out of the French league.
It's very big money for Arsenal.
72 million, and Hazard went for 80.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something strange there.
Can you compare? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've got to be very, 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 very hopeful that this player turns up, because he's coming from the French league and it's not good. It is not a good league.
No, I mean, let's be honest. Whatever you like to say about something, there's been some great players. Obviously, France is a great international team. Yeah. How many of their players actually play in the French league, though?
Well, very few. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the England team, at least most of them play. Well, all of them actually, pretty much, isn't it? Play in England in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's right.
But the French team play abroad. There's a reason for that. League One in France is not a strong league at all. No. So he's going to find a real step up from there to Arsenal. Although, to be honest, Arsenal last week just gone, played a friendly against Angers, who came 13th in League One last season, and they held Arsenal to a draw, which Arsenal then won on penalty. So, who knows, maybe he's a good fit.
Well, no, it's pre-season friendly. It depends how serious each team takes it. You can't read a lot into it. I think what you have to look for in those friendlies is something that Lampard appears to be doing right, is he's trying out these younger players. He's trying out systems to see what works and what doesn't work. There looks to be a plan. And I think Unai Emery is a very clever bloke. He's got a great track record. You have to assume Arsenal are doing the same.
Yes, I mean, obviously experimenting with different youth players. I mean, Chelsea have to. He has to look at the extended squad because they have no chance to sign anybody this season. They're on a ban. Chelsea. Well,
yeah, but they have replaced Hazard. They'd replaced him in the transfer window before with Pulisic. So I'm not at all worried. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would not be worried by the Chelsea squad. It's a strong squad still.
Well, it is, and
it'll still make fourth in the Premier League.
Well, let's be fair. I mean, they came third last season. Yeah. They had a good run towards the end of the season. They've got a manager who has the respect of the players and the fans, at least. I don't think Chelsea fans should be worried, especially if they look around them. Manchester United, okay, they've signed Maguire. Arsenal, Pepe, not a great statement of intent. Yeah. And Tottenham have signed one player so far, really, and Marbella, who has been brilliant in the pre-season games, of course. Yeah. But apart from that, the teams around Chelsea, or their nearest competitors, because let's forget about Liverpool and Man City, the teams who are looking for third and fourth haven't really improved their squads either. So no. Chelsea, who have a strong squad, and let's be fair, Tottenham don't. They don't have the depth that Chelsea has.
I still think there'll be a big gap between fourth and fifth at the end of next season. Yeah.
So we've said on a previous podcast, you and I both believe, and Steve also, I think, in the podcast that we discussed this, we all three of us believe that it'll be the same top four as last season.
Same top four, yeah. And
I mean, Arsenal, Man United, and those around them, Everton and Wolves. I mean, Everton have made some signings this season.
They made some signings, but not many. But I think the key for Everton will be if they get Moise Kean. That's a great buy. That's a seriously good buy. He's a 1-in-2 striker. He's big lad, 6'2". He's strong. He's fast. If they can get him, it really will answer a question that there's been about Everton all season. Okay, who's going to score the goals? If they can get him, that would be a superb buy.
Well, I think Wolves and Everton are going to be, vying with Man United for that fifth spot.
And Leicester and probably West Ham. And I think West Ham have probably done better business than almost anybody, to be honest.
There's no competition for top four. No. It is the same top four. But for fifth and, let's say, sixth, you've got Manchester United, Wolves, Leicester, Everton, and Arsenal.
Yes. Yeah.
That's five teams competing for one place, really.
Yeah, exactly. And how are the mighty fallen?
Yes.
For those who don't know, the training grounds of Arsenal and Watford are right next door to each other. There is a hedge and some trees which separate the two. And it's always been like that. And back in the day, the Watford coaches would be on step ladders looking over the hedge, trying to work out. They look at the corner routines. It's a waste of time because it was Bold flicks it on at the near post and Adams comes in at the far post. Everyone knows that, but they'd be spying on them and looking at these great
looking
players.
At their betters.
Looking at their betters. And now it's the other way around, of course. Now the Arsenal coaches are all staring over at the Watford players, wishing they had players as good as that.
As good as Watford, yeah. How the mighty have fallen, as you said. Well, those are the teams competing for the Everton Cup, but what about the teams struggling to stay up? Because there'll be a few this season.
Well, obviously, the big one is Newcastle. Can they stay up? And the key to them staying up, because they've got a seriously bad squad, is will there be three teams worse than them?
Right.
And normally, candidates in those three teams are the three teams which come up.
Yes, they're always the ones that are bookies' favourites, obviously.
So, look at Fulham last season. They had a fantastic season in the Championship, came up and just fell apart.
Right.
And they spent a fortune on a lot of good players. Threw out the players who got them promotion, and the players that came in didn't perform. So if you were an Aston Villa fan, I think you'd be a little bit worried at the moment because they've cleared out 17 players, all on free transfers, by the way. So they've received no money for these 17
So they got
players.
rid of 17 players, made nothing.
But they've created room in their salary budget, so great. And they've spent a net 144 million on 13 players. Tottenham fans will start to itch here and think, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
And the only ones of those 13 we might have heard of are Tyrone Mings, a defender from Bournemouth. Now, Tyrone Mings played for them for most of last season. Right,
so it doesn't really count.
So they've just spent 30 million on a player they already had. So
that doesn't improve them because he was already there.
Improve them. Wesley Moraes, who's a centre-forward from Brazil, very good player. He's come from Club Brugge, where his record is 1 goal in 3. Okay, that's okay, I think. But in the Belgian league, you'd be looking for more, maybe. But okay. Douglas Luiz, supposedly he's come from City, but Douglas Luiz never played for City. As soon as he arrived at City, he was sent off to Girona. The people who own Manchester City also own Girona.
Oh, yeah.
So they spent 2 seasons looking at him, playing in the Primera Liga in Spain. Decided he wasn't up to it, so they sold him. So they got their transfer fee back and the salaries they paid, and they've sold him to Aston Villa.
Right, so, that's a big difference, isn't it? City to Villa, obviously, it's just about good enough for Villa. The problem there, though, Geoff, is, as you said, they got themselves up with all these players, championship players, then they get rid of them all, or most of them, replace them with people who they think are better, who are unfamiliar with the team, unfamiliar with the surroundings, and many of them unfamiliar with the Premier League.
And 13 of them.
That beats Tottenham, signing 9 players with the Gareth Bale money and completely disrupted that season. Yeah. With all due respect to those players. Lamella is left from that lot, Ericsson, but the rest of them, Chadley went off to Watford, who, as you said earlier, are better than Arsenal, but nevertheless, a lot of them went on to have decent careers elsewhere, but never settled. You get 9 new players in the squad who you've spent a lot of money on, the Gareth Bale money. That means they're going to be first on the team sheet,
but
which means a totally different team.
The Gareth Bale money was 88 million. This is 144 million they've spent on 13 players.
That's a lot of money for a club, let's say, a smaller club that's just come up.
I know. If the question is, are they doing a Fulham? Well, they look very much like it, yeah. So
time will tell, of course, but it's a big gamble, that one.
It's a
big
huge
gamble by Villa.
But the best thing out of all of those players who've gone to Aston Villa is another player, midfield player they got from Club Brugge. So presumably he's going to to work very well with Wesley Moraes because they played together in Belgium. And it's his name. His name is Marvellous Nakamba. What a fantastic name.
Marvellous. Fantastic.
Marvellous.
What a great name. And actually, that wasn't me saying that's the name of his brother and sister, Great and Fantastic. But no, that's what a marvellous name, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
lots to live up to.
I mean, perhaps we can sort of consider Newcastle while we're down that end of the table.
Right.
One of the final straws that broke the camel's back with Benitez was the owner actually wanted to buy this player called Joe Linton, a Brazilian centre forward, and he wanted to pay £40 million for this guy. Now, if you look at Joe Linton's record going back to his first club in Brazil, he scores 1 goal every 4 games. 1 goal every, and you want to pay £40 million for him. West Ham have bought Haller from Eintracht Frankfurt. Haller has scored 1 in 2.
That's great. I mean, that's a decent. Yeah,
that's what you want. Okay, so I know I'm going to get 18 to 20 goals out of my centre forward. So we're now looking for the midfield, etc., to chip in, and you can start to build a club with that. 1 in 4 doesn't matter what league he's played in, whether it's Brazil, Belgium, Holland, Austria, Germany. It's 1 in 4.
That's a striker at 10 goals a season. Not great.
Yeah. Now, we dealt with Haller, a 1 in 2 striker for 45 million. Moise Kean coming out of Juventus, he's looking to move. He's a 1 in 2 striker.
Good.
And he's going to go for 30 million, 10 million less than
a 1 in 4 player.
Yeah. Now Kean is a bit unproven. He's only had 1 season in Serie A, but it was in Serie A.
Yes,
if you're scoring goals in Serie A, then you're a good
I mean,
forward.
Italian football is notoriously defensive as well, so that's pretty good.
So why does Ashley want to spend £40 million on this player who is less good than most of the strikers in the Premier League at the moment? 40 million.
Are you saying there's a cynical intent behind all this?
Well, I think there is. Let's just say there is something else going on. And, when you go back in history and you look at the purchases made under Dennis Wise and all those sorts of things, which led to Keegan leaving, there is things going on behind the scenes there at Newcastle which really have got nothing to do with football.
Yes, there's the more murky corporate side of football.
Well, yeah, and, corporate side is the thing. Ashley has been saying for 5 years that he's trying to sell the club. Well, my question would be, is he? Really? I don't think he's trying to sell the club at all. He's taking a fortune out of that club every year. And I think if you look at the amount he takes out each year, he'd have to sell the club for 450 million, and that squad is valued at 160 million.
Right.
And so let's look at the ground in the centre of Newcastle. No, that's not going to make up the difference.
So it's cloak and dagger. I'm selling and then raking some money off.
No, I think that,
too much.
Yeah, exactly. I think the statements I'm selling are just to try and keep some sort of peace with the supporters.
Right.
And these stories about these people coming in and offering money, I think it's all bullshit, frankly. I don't think any of it's real.
But it seems to be you're creating constant instability, aren't you, by saying you're selling all the time?
Well, yeah, but, it's something that the comments I've made on this site before, that the owners don't want to win the league. I think the only sets of owners that want to win the league are Liverpool's and Manchester City's. What they want to be is in the league, because there's a huge amount of money just for being in it, get into the Champions League if they can. But to be in that Champions League position, you need a squad valued north of 650 million. So is any of the owners down there with 160, 200 million value squads going to spend 500 million to get up there? No, they're not, because how much more money do you make? 30 or 40 million each year? Well, it's uneconomic. You just want to be in it and stay in it.
Right.
Anyway, so that's life down at the bottom, but at the top.
That's life at the bottom. Yeah. Well, let's move. Let's scroll up the table.
Yeah. So we have Aston Villa clearing out 17 players, bringing in 13.
Amazing.
And the two teams that are, I think most people would agree, head and shoulders above the rest at the top, have done virtually no business at all.
See, that's interesting. You got like you say, they've bought 13 new bloods. That's an entire afternoon's team, isn't it? You've got the 11 plus a couple of substitutes just there with the new signings, and Liverpool and Manchester City. I mean, the couple of signings. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Manchester City, and you say, okay, where do they need to replace players? And people have been saying for 2 seasons now, Fernandinho can't go on forever. And he's arguably, you can have an argument that he is their most influential and best player.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought in Rodri from Atletico Madrid. Now Rodri is clearly the long-term replacement for Fernandinho, and he'll be brought in progressively throughout the season. And they paid decent money for him, £40-ish million. So it's actually it's a bargain, really.
I mean, that makes sense because there's an overlap there, easing the old player out and the new player in over the series of a season or 2 seasons. Whereas like Villa, it's get rid of people and bring people in. You're just starting with a complete. Yeah. You don't know what could happen, but that's sensible what Man City have done.
They've got a net spend of 35 million. They brought Angelino, a forward, in for PSV Eindhoven. One assumes he's going to be a squad player. He'll play in the League Cup and stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. What have Liverpool done though?
Nothing really. I mean,
nothing really. They brought the lad in from Fulham who ran off at the mouth during the week. Harvey Elliott, was it? Yeah. And Lussell from was it Austria or somewhere. They spent hardly any money at all.
Well, Liverpool they've got Andy Lonergan, goalkeeper, for free. They've got Sepp van der Berg for 1.3 million, who's a defender from PEC's Volley. And then, as we said, Harvey Elliott, a winger from Fulham, so a relegated club. We don't know how much he's worth. Obviously, he's the one that had all the controversy last week, doing it very poor and bad imitation, I suppose, or sort of ill-judged. Yes, I mean, it was badly timed and everything. He did a bad imitation of Harry Kane. He's since apologised. He's a young lad. But that is the business that Liverpool have done. Their transfer balance, 21.7 million net plus. Yeah, that's their balance so far this season.
Yeah. Why would Klopp be comfortable about that? Well, you could argue that he's short of cover for Van Dijk and Robertson. So if Robertson's injured, they're probably going to have to think about a back three centre-backs, etc., to cover. So he is a bit short there. But there are 4 or 5 players coming back from injury. Gomez, centre-back, who will probably be the starting centre-back with Van Dijk. Oxlade-Chamberlain, he didn't play last season, so he's coming back.
Right.
Naby Keita, who only started playing in March. 53 million they paid for him a year ago.
And he only played like a month and a half's worth.
Played a month and a half and looked very, very good when he played.
Yeah.
It definitely improved the team. And Lallana. So there you go. There's 4 players coming back. It's like, if you suddenly had those 4 players put in your team, you say you'd had a good summer.
So basically, they've got 4 new players, as you're saying, really.
And so those 4 players coming into a team that were 11 inches away from going unbeaten in the Premier League last season. If John Stones hadn't cleared that ball off the line at the Etihad,
would have been a completely different story.
Liverpool would have won the league and gone unbeaten throughout the whole season.
And unbeaten throughout the whole season. Plus, last season they came second, lost by 1 point, or just because maybe we can say because that John Stones clearance, they won the Champions League. They've got 4 players coming back from injury. Yeah. They don't need anybody else. Why would you? Why if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. They almost won the league. They won the Champions League. They've got 4 new players, as it were, if you like. Job done, really.
Yeah, I think the big issue for Klopp is he's got the players who've come back from the Cup of Nations or the Copa America will have had 70 to 78 matches in a year, and only have 2 weeks off.
Yes, he has this week been complaining that Liverpool are playing next Friday. They are the opening game of the season on a Friday. Everybody else playing on the Saturday and Sunday. He's complaining that it's a little bit unfair on Liverpool. They've got a very, very chock-a-block fixtures during August. They've got to play Chelsea in the Super Cup. Then they're in the International Cup because obviously they won the Champions League. They've got all that coming up, and they're the first team to play. He's saying, look, we played on the 1st of June. We've got players just coming back. We've had a busy off-season schedule playing. And now you're putting us as the first game and all these Super Cups and everything else. Is he right? I mean, everybody else has got to put... the price of winning the Champions League is that you played more games than anybody else apart from the losing finalists.
Yeah, but if it had finished there, that would have been great. But then you have the Africa Cup of Nations on top of it.
Yeah.
And Copa America. And I mean, the Africa Cup of Nations seems to be every year from what I can see.
Yes.
And it's ridiculous. FIFPro, who are the footballers' union, trade union, are saying, look, this is ridiculous for players like Mane to have played 72 games in 365 days. That is just absurd.
Yeah, I mean, no athlete should have to put their bodies through that. And it is damaging for the main focus for any manager, whether they want to win the league or not, as you pointed out earlier, is to survive in the Premier League, stay up, or finish mid-table and earn some money, or to win it. If your players have been put through such a gruelling test of games that really don't count towards winning the league, staying in the league, or getting far in any of the three main cups, if you like, the League Cup, the FA Cup, Champions League, or if Europa League, just getting through it to a respectable position that earns you money, if your players are already unfit before those campaigns start, or tired, because it is tiring playing all those games, it puts you at a disadvantage immediately, which is what he's saying.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's right. But, Liverpool, interesting club. Do you want a bit of history about Liverpool?
Yes, tell us a little bit, because you were telling me earlier something weird about Liverpool.
Liverpool, we all know that there's Liverpool and Everton, and the two clubs are either side of Stanley Park in the centre of Liverpool. But the original club was Everton, because it was the area of Liverpool that they were in was called Everton. So they were Everton. And they played at Anfield. Then there was a falling out between lots of the players and owners, weren't owners of the club, but senior club members. And one of the men owned the freehold of Anfield. So there was a break-up, and Everton left and went away, and the guy who owned Anfield stayed and set up a team which eventually became Liverpool. Their original kit was blue and white quarters, the same as Blackburn Rovers.
So Liverpool looked like Blackburn.
Liverpool looked like Blackburn, yeah. And they didn't change, they changed to red several years, and many years later. And they used to wear red shirts, white shorts, white socks. And it was only with Shankly in the 1960s, he came into the dressing room once and threw a pair of enormous shorts at Ron Yates, and they'd have to be big for him, that were red. And Yates put them on, and he said, yeah, that looks great. Why don't we have red socks as well? So that's why Liverpool became all red. So they started off as blue and white, like Blackburn Rovers.
There you are. There's a bit of the history about Liverpool there. Talking of the top four and all that, this week Mauricio Pochettino has courted a little bit of controversy. Now, when he first became Tottenham coach, as he was the title he was given, insisted on, after a season there at least, insisted on being called manager because he said, I make the decisions. This last week, he's been saying, I should be called coach because I don't make any of the transfer. He was being asked a lot of questions by the press on their money-making tour, as the Premier League clubs are. We'll talk about how Tottenham got their first trophy in a moment. They won the Audi Cup. Might as well be the Skoda Cup, but never mind. But on this tour of games, he was asked a barrage of questions about Tottenham signings. Are they going to sign Lo Celso? Are they going to sign Dybala? All these questions. And he just put a stop to it by saying, I don't know. I don't make any of those decisions. I'm not involved in transfers. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. And why do you think he's saying all this? What's the purpose behind it? Is it to goad Levy into signing somebody or goad him into sacking him? Because he did say, by the way, as an added bit to that, that if Tottenham had won the Champions League, he might have thought of leaving and seeking pastures new. So what do you think, what's behind all this, that Levy's coming out a little bit angry, a little bit sort of abrasive, really, with his answer?
Yeah, I don't know what's behind it, but there is something, clearly. Otherwise,
weird, isn't it?
You don't say that. So he's clearly trying to provoke a response.
Yeah, I mean, as a Tottenham fan, it did worry me a little bit that he's trying to sort of get Levy, the chairman, the man with the purse strings, I suppose, who's notoriously very, very hard negotiator. Maybe we should have him in charge of the Brexit negotiations because he is very, very good at getting the best deal for Tottenham, even if it is when they actually do any deals.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's too early in the season for him to be doing a Mourinho and trying to get himself sacked.
Well, who knows what's going on with Tottenham. I mean, that's why we love football, all the theatrics and the intrigue. Going back to Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp complaining or pointing out that Liverpool have to play so many games. One of those is in the Super Cup, Geoff, against Chelsea, who won the Europa League. Yeah,
and that match is going to be famous. A very, very famous match. Do you want to know why?
Because it's not a match that people really look forward to. It's a bit like the Community Shield, which is taking place today. But what's so special about it?
Well, what's so special about it is the referee. In fact, the refereeing team, the referee, the assistant referees, all that, are all women.
That's brilliant. I think that's great progress.
It's fantastic.
I look forward to the day when we don't even have to point that out, where it shouldn't matter what gender somebody is in a job.
Stephanie Frappart will become the first woman to referee a major European men's match.
That's brilliant, and congratulations to her and her
Yeah,
team.
absolutely. Yeah,
That's brilliant. You know, no matter what it is a major competition.
yeah,
It is
absolutely.
the winners of the Champions League against the winners of the Europa League. Who do you think is going to win that one?
Liverpool.
So Liverpool will beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we shall see. We've just about run out of time, Geoff. So just tell us, repeat the trivia question that you gave us at the top of the show, and then give us the answer.
So, Neil Harris, Alfredo Di Stefano, Alan Shearer, and Ali McCoist all have something in common with Frank Lampard, and that is that they were all the leading goal scorers for their club, who were then appointed as manager.
There you go. Brilliant stuff.
But there's one player who can beat all that, and that's Arthur Rowley. When he was made manager of Shrewsbury, he became Shrewsbury Town's leading scorer while he was player manager.
Oh, wow, he went one better.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's all we've got time for. I want to say a big thank you to Geoff Saunders.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Steve Kenton, a big hello to you. Of course, the Kenners of Karle and Kenners. He's away on some sort of secret mission. Thank you to our bar for letting us record here and all the support and love they give us. Thank you to TaxiPoint for the same. And to Stewart Hill, exclusive wine, StewartHillUK.com. They provide beautiful cigars, organic teas, and exclusive wines to the industry. You can check them out on that website. We'll be back next week at the start of the Premier League season with more Karle and Kenners hitting the bar.
You've been listening to Karle and Kenners Hitting the Bar. Join us again next week for more of their twisted football news, all of their weird football views. You can find them here every week on Karle and Kenners Hitting the Bar. We'll see you again shortly.